We're in the book of Revelation. This is probably one of the more better known passages about the four horsemen. I'll be like Bowick when I give an alternate title, or the Tribulation progresses. Revelation 6, 1 through 8. And I saw when the Lamb opened the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." Better be come or go. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And still thou heard not the oil and the wine." And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death, and hell, or rather Hades, followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. The four horsemen, John's revelation of the future, and this is where the tribulation definitely is going on, and it progresses. Revelation written by the Apostle John, we believe 95 AD, is predictive prophecy in symbols that believers can understand, hard as it is, and unbelievers have no chance. Only book of the Bible that has a blessing attached to it. Blessing to the one who reads it aloud, and blessing to those who hear it and keep it. Little bit of review. So I believe chapter 4. A voice in heaven says to John, "Come up hither." And he goes to heaven, and his viewpoint for the rest of the book is from heaven. And we believe that is a type or picture of the rapture of the church. Ecclesia, called out ones, assembly, the word for the church, is never used during the tribulation period. The restrainer is gone. 2 Thessalonians says that the restrainer will restrain. The restrainer is the Holy Spirit through his church. And the Antichrist cannot be revealed until the restrainer is gone. That's the church. That's the rapture. Now, I've grown up as a teenager, and many years, I don't know if they actually taught it, or we had the wrong idea that the rapture begins a 7-year tribulation. It does not. There is a delay between the rapture and the 7-year tribulation. Daniel tells us, we'll talk about that later. Daniel says it begins at the 70th week of Daniel, a week of 7 years. And the Antichrist doesn't call in there. He confirms the covenant for a year, 7 years, and midway he breaks it when the Antichrist makes that greater agreement that begins the 7 years. It will be after the rapture. We don't know how long the delay, but there will be a delay. Verses 1 and 2, the Antichrist. Well, let me go this a little bit. So John gets to heaven, he sees praised by the 4 living creatures, the 24 elders, which I believe represents the church, Old Testament saints, New Testament saints. And then there's this scroll sealed with 7 seals, and no one is able to open it. And John begins to weep profusely. And then I believe one of the elders says, "Quit weeping, for the Lamb is worthy." And then after that you have praise, "Worthy is the Lamb." And now the Lamb will open, Lamb Jesus Christ, will open the seals which will pour out in judgments on the world. Here we have the first 4 seals, which are all together. And first we have the Antichrist. Verse 1. "And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, a voice like thunder. One of the 4 living creatures," this is not the word for beast, it's the word for living creature, "saying, Come and see." And the best manuscripts only have the word come. You can translate that come and go, or go. I believe it's better translated go, because of what he's saying. Jesus saying it's time. The restraints are gone. It's time for the Antichrist to do his thing. It's time for God to do his thing. And Israel to go through their period of trial and be saved at the end, with only 1/3 surviving. First rider of the horse, you're up. Go. And John, he saw a white horse. He set on him at a bow, and a crown was given to him. He went forth conquering and to conquer. We know at the end of Revelation, Jesus comes back, the second coming, riding a white horse. We know it's Jesus because he is called the Word. That's Jesus. And many have misinterpreted this. This is not Christ here. This is the Antichrist, not Jesus. Jesus is in heaven. He opens the seals one by one. He's not an open seal on the ride of a horse of the world. No, he's in heaven. This is the Antichrist. Now remember, the Antichrist, what does it mean? Preposition in Greek really has 2 meanings. Against and instead of. The Antichrist is against Jesus Christ, and he wants to replace Jesus Christ. So, he does his best imitation of Jesus. Lucifer, we know him as Satan or the dragon of the devil. He wanted to replace God in heaven. I want to sit there and, like the Most High. I want the place of the Most High. I want God's place. I want to replace God. Well, that didn't work out too well, did it? And the Antichrist wants to replace Jesus as Messiah. In about the first 3.5 years, most of the Jews will be fooled that the Antichrist is their Messiah. So Jesus will come back on a white horse, but the Antichrist, he has to ride on a white horse. Jesus died and rose from the dead. Later on, Revelation, the Antichrist, he's called the beast, the first beast. He will have a deadly wound, and he will survive that miraculously. You know what's that old song? Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. That's the devil's idea. That's the Antichrist. This is the Antichrist. And he had a bow, but nothing is said about arrows. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. And that last phrase gives us what he wants to do. He wants to rule the whole world. But he won't do it at first. I believe he'll be a charismatic politician, and the world will be in turmoil after the rapture and all the plane crashes and train wrecks and all the disaster and all the stuff you have to go through. And this man will come up and he will have the answers. And or the answer will be to make this covenant, this agreement. We're not told everything in the covenant, but obviously it has to be Israel being able to rebuild the temple. Because midway he breaks the agreement and sacrifices and oblations are ceased in the temple, and he makes an image, and he has to be worshipped as God. So that's got to be part of the agreement. Part of the agreement probably is that he will protect the nation of Israel. Today on the Temple Mount, you have the golden rock, what is that, Al-Aqsa, Muslim place of worship. And I believe that actually Jordan has jurisdiction over the Temple Mount. I think that's correct. That's weird. The Jews are limited in what they can do where the temple used to be. You imagine that if the Jews went up there with lumber and stuff and started trying to build a temple today, what would happen? Woo! It'd be crazy. But the Antichrist will, in his agreement, allow Israel to rebuild their temple. I won't read it, but a phrase in Daniel 8:25 about the Antichrist, and by peace he will destroy many. So he will start out as a peacemaker. Peace in Israel. Israel can build their temple and they can worship in peace. And a crown was given unto him. The Greek word for this is Stephanos. It is a victor's crown. Similar at the Olympic contest in those days, they got a garland of greenery. Jesus will get a crown, a diadem crown, a kingly crown. The Antichrist will conquer us. Also in Daniel, you talk about that little horn that comes up, and I believe he displaces two of the other horns. They're totally knocked off of that animal. So it will be a process where the Antichrist goes to conquer the whole world. The Antichrist. Number 2, you have war, verses 3 and 4. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Go. Get on your horse and you go. It's your turn." And that horse, verse 4, that horse was red, which is, of course, the color of blood and fire. And it was given to him, power in italics on the original. It was given to him that sat on that red horse to take peace, literally, out of the earth. No more peace in earth. And that they should kill one another. The Olivet Discourse, Matthew, Mark, and Luke all have a version. In Matthew's version, this passage holds up with a lot in that. Luke's version says, "When you see these things begin to come to pass, lift up your heads, for your redemption is getting close." And we are seeing these things already. Keep killing one another. You turn on the news, you read the newspaper, and how many accounts are there of somebody killing somebody? It used to be just, every now and then? What is it now? Maybe 2 or 3 a day? David Jeremiah says, a prophetic event, when it approaches, casts a shadow. And we're seeing the shadow of the 7-year tribulation coming. We're seeing little bits of these things already happening. They will take peace out of the earth, they will kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. Sword here is Makarios. It's really the smaller sword. It's the one that you would put in a sheath and put under your girdle. They had girdles, they call them girdles, not belts. Our belts are a little bit different. Matthew 24:6 says, there will be wars and rumors of wars. We have any wars going on today? You have any rumors of wars? There's that one official in Russia promises nuclear war. Putin has had restraint, and yet we keep on kicking the bear. Why? I don't know. Matthew 24:7. For a nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. The word kingdom, I believe, is ethnos, comes from ethnos, which means ethnic groups against ethnic groups. Do we have countries where one ethnic group is trying to destroy another ethnic group? Are they not in South Africa trying to kill Christians? Never heard that on the news, do you? Wars and rumors of wars. Next up, famine, verses 5 and 6. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, come, or rather go, your time up. And beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Black symbolizes mourning, famine, sadness, want, or need. The word for pair of balance is literally yoke. In one of the later dry meanings, what was pair of balance is two scales where you have a scale on each end. You know that where it's held together, or where you have an empty pan and they're hooked together, and the other side you have weights and whatever their measurement was. I know it's not pounds, but say you're going to buy a pound of lentils, you had a rock or something that weighed a pound, you put it on one side, and the other side you poured in lentils until they balanced. And that way you know you're getting a pound. That's the way they measured in those days. Measuring food by weight was a sign of famine in the Old Testament. Verse 6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures say, this is a little bit different. So it doesn't say that it was one of the living creatures. It was there in the vicinity, in the midst of them. It's a little bit mysterious. We don't know actually who said that. A measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny. The penny, the Greek word is denarius. It was what a common laborer got for one day's work. Jesus told a parable where a man, a farmer, and he hired people to come and work on his farm, a denarius for a whole day's work. You know, the beginning, he hired them, and they worked on it, and they got denarius. But various times through the day, he hired others. He gave them for a full day's work, even though they didn't work a full day. But this is what you got for a full day's work of denarius. Normally, for denarius, you would get 5 to 7 times as much as they will get in this day. A measure is a dry measure. It's not quite 2 pints, a little bit less than a quart. So you work all day and you don't even get a quart of wheat flour. And that amount of wheat flour would be about enough for one person to have enough food today and survive. So in this day, in the 7 years, a man will work, or a woman, and get enough to buy not quite a quart of flour. Take care of his needs. But what if he's married? What about his children? That doesn't cover them. Obviously, inflation is involved. And Democrats and Republicans alike through the years have spent more than we brought in because inflation, where a dollar buys less every year than what it does before. And we're suffering that. I was in the store yesterday, and I believe a pound of hamburger was $4.99 a pound. We didn't pay that years ago. But we're already seeing these things come to place. Obviously, shortage of food causes the prices to go up. You remember back during the pandemic, and yes, I called it pandemic, P-L-A-N, that you had all these food warehouses that burnt. In Canada, in one area, you had several fishery canneries that burnt. In the beginning, they killed off herds of baby pigs. I don't remember the reason they gave, but it was a good reason. They have called cow herds. And recently, remember bird flu? How many chickens were destroyed that were not sick? The measures for this to happen is already going on. And 3 measures of barley. Barley was less grain, not as good. And so you work all day and get not quite 3 quarts. But see that you don't even begin to hurt the oil and the wine. Olive oil. Isn't it amazing in God's promised land, the land of the Jews, Israel, that they're abundant with olives and olive oil? And now, well, they've said this for years, olive oil is the best for you. The steep oils, not good. Canola is supposed to be poisonous to you. Olive oil is the best. It's expensive, but it's the best. Many commentators said oil and wine were luxury items. Really, they were not. Wheat, barley, olive oil, and grapes, or you make grapes and make wine, and wine was common drink in those days. Probably not as intoxicating as it is today, most of the wines, but those were staple items. The prices are going to be so bad in 7-year tribulation, a common man, all he can get is wheat or barley. He can't get olive oil. He can't get grapes or wine or grape juice. But guess what? The rich people can. You know that during the Great Depression, most of the people were poor and they struggled to make it. But you know, those people that were rich and didn't have all their money, all their eggs in one basket in the stock market, they did quite well. Remember the TV show, The Waltons, during the Depression? You had, was it the Godbees that owned the store? I mean, they had no problems. And the Baldwin sisters, they had money. And during the 7-year tribulation, those who have money, they'll make it. They have their olive oil and wine and steaks. But we certainly see food shortages coming, and so I'll spoil your day even more. Genetically modified foods, been doing that for years. They're stopping now spraying crops with modified genetic mRNA vaccines, spraying your food with it. The future doesn't look good. And we all say, Lord Jesus, come quickly. We're done with this world. Famine. Famine often follows war. Remember Ukraine's old nickname? I bet you ain't heard this. in a while. The breadbasket of Europe. You think they're raising wheat over there now? Probably not. And so people that used to depend on that wheat, they can't get any more from them. Let's go to the next one, death. Verses 7 and 8. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come, or rather go. It's your time. Get on your horse and go." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. Now this is different. By the way, in Zechariah, there are 4 horses: red, black, white, and speckled. Those horses are used to go, they have good missions. They're going throughout the world and kind of checking on things for God. Here, obviously, the horses are used for war. The old horse, and probably what this means is a yellowish green. That's not a pretty color. Do you know what I think of yellowish green? When you get sick, when I get bronchitis and I cough up that phlegm, it's yellowish green. That's not a good color. Imagine a horse being that color. Obviously, this is the worst rider of all, and the name that's said on the pale horse, the ghost green horse, was death. Greek, literally, the death. And Hades, the Hades, followed with him. Hades, the etymology of the word, you remember, you remember you put a picture of, let's say many people hate Trump, put a picture of Trump in a circle and put the cross, a diagonal cross, that means not Trump. So in the Greek, the word alpha, the first sounds like her A. Alpha is primitive, it means not, and you have alpha plus word that means to see, so not seen. Hades is literally the unseen, and it means the place of the dead. How many of you can see where the dead are today? Raise your hand. I don't see anybody. We can't see the dead. It's unseen. It doesn't mean heaven, it doesn't mean hell, it means the place where the dead go. Of course, the redeemed, they go to be with God in heaven, and the unredeemed, they go to that place of torment. So death takes life from the body. And Hades takes the soul the body. Hades followed with death. What is interesting here, you have 4 riders on the horses. Horse is death. Now death has a companion, Hades, and he followed with death, but it doesn't say how he does that. Is he riding with death? Probably not, because it's still death for the horse. You can't ride 2 people on a horse if y'all aren't too big. Is he riding on another horse? Possibly. Is he running? I don't know, but he follows. Hades follows death. You die, and then your spirit goes wherever it's going. And power was given unto them, death and Hades, over the 4th part of the earth, to kill with sword. We understand that we're already at war, at least, and with hunger, inflation, food shortages, and with death. And all of this, of course, Matthew 24:7, it talks about, and there shall be famines, really gets the one before this. Also Matthew 24:7, it mentions death, and there are those that believe that death represents pestilence, and pestilence would be diseases, and that death here really represents pestilences. Again, I am totally convinced that Anthony Fauci paid for gain of function to that virus. They took it to Japan, and they completed it, and they released it on the population, and China set on the information and sent the people all over the world to kill as many people as they could. And by the way, they have these labs all over the world, and they got other stuff that they're working on. And you've already heard accounts of this is going to happen again. The World Health Organization wants control over every nation of the world to control what you do. And if you have another outbreak or whatever it is, that they can tell America, y'all shut down and nobody goes to work, except we let work. That can happen again. The next one, and with the beasts of the earth. A quarter of the world is going to die in this phase. A quarter. We believe today we have 8 billion people in the world. If this holds in, that would be 2 billion in a short amount of time. Later on, you're going to have another third taken out. Would you put them together, you multiply that, and that takes out half the population of the world, and that's not counting the other stuff. I mentioned this, the Georgia Guidestones, somebody, some figure went up there and blew one of those up, and then they demolished it. And one of their suggestions was, we suggest that the earth maintain a population of 500 million. That's half a billion. So what they're saying, we need to get rid of 7.5 billion people in this world and whittle it down to 500 billion. What would you do to do that? Work on viruses and make them worse and unleash them. Give medical treatments that don't work and withhold hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin that does work. Use remdesivir that really kills people. Blow up food warehouses. Call chicken flocks and cow herds and baby pigs. And once in a while, you'll have a politician that will slip and say, we've got too many people in this world. Whoops. I bet they didn't mean to say that out loud. But guess what? They're going to get their wish one day. Their wish is going to be true. And you know what they don't know? They might be in the ones that are cold. And with the beasts of the earth, when you're going to have a quarter of the population dying, there's probably going to be bodies lying everywhere, and that causes disease. And imagine if food supply is down, then you may have and we know that grizzly bears will eat people, lions will eat people. If the food supply gets so bad that even the animals are hard pressed, they may turn to humans for food. The Black Plague, what was that caused by? Rodents. I went with the fleas. That's how carried the disease is. Man, these are just the first 4 seals. This is just getting started. But we believers, we're not going to be here. We're gone. There's that verse in Thessalonians. God has not appointed us to wrath, but to salvation. John 14, Jesus is preparing a house for his bride, the church, and he's going to come back and take us to his Father's house for the honeymoon, 7 days, 7 years. And we're going to be with Jesus in heaven on our honeymoon. Jesus will come back. We'll come back with him. And then we have the great wedding celebration feast. But we need to know what is coming so we can warn those who don't know Jesus. And also when we see wars and rumors of wars, we see food shortages and food poisoning already happening, then we can know that it's coming. We can be ready. 3 lessons. Lesson number 1, the 7-year tribulation is near. Can you be like David Jeremiah and look and say, ooh, I see the shadow of the 7-year tribulation. It's coming. You know, you can see, before the storm gets to you, you can know that it's coming. It gets dark. You get thunder. You get lightning. And then you get the rain and the storm. But you know it's coming before it gets there. We know the 7 years coming. It's getting close. What is the purpose of the 7-year tribulation? I want to read this verse, Daniel 9:24. Daniel, there were 70 weeks. And the 69th week is when Messiah is cut off. And between the 69th and the 70th week, the 70th week is 7-year tribulation. There's a big break. Well, we had, about 2,000 years break. But this is the purpose of that last week, 7-year tribulation. 70 weeks are determined upon my people, that's the Jews, and upon my holy city, that's Jerusalem, to finish the transgression, get rid of sin for good, and to make an end of sins, the end of the tribulation, end of the 1,000-year millennial reign. Satan will have his last rebellion and be defeated. He will be thrown in the lake of fire, and all those who rejected God through the ages will be thrown in the lake of fire, and evil will be banished forever. To make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, millennial reign, and then all evil banished after that, and to seal up the vision of prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. It doesn't have anything to do with the church. We're not here during the 7 years. This is about Israel. The 7-year tribulation is about the salvation of Israel. Midway, the Antichrist will break his agreement and will, instead of being the protector of Israel, he will be the persecutor of Israel. And Zechariah tells us that 2/3 of the Jews will die during the 7 years. Only 1/3 will make it. But at the end, they will cry out to Jesus as their Messiah, and they will be saved and delivered. And that's why Jesus, one of the reasons why he will come back. Number 3, miss the 7-year tribulation. Trust Jesus. I think those of us here in person, we all know Jesus. We're going to miss it. Those of you that see this on Facebook or YouTube, if you don't know Jesus, and Jesus comes back today and takes his people home, you're stuck here, you're left behind, and you're going to have to live through all this garbage. Yes, you can still be saved, but life is going to be really rough. Or believers, they will be persecuted, and many of them will die. We see many of them beheaded toward the end of Revelation for their witness of Jesus. If you don't know Jesus as Lord, trust him. Don't delay. For God's people, this is good news in that we know that our salvation is coming. Our new glorified body is getting close. We rejoice in that. This world is not our home. Lord Jesus, come quickly. And often. But for those who are not ready, what are you waiting on? Don't delay. Cry out to Jesus and give your heart to him and confess your sins and commit to him as Lord and be saved today. May God bless his word. Gary Horton, would you close us in prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, we